Sunday statement draft for the first Monday of the 2021 season. Mike Golic, Mike Florio here with you. And Mike, this is your first time. Here's how it goes. Trivia question to determine the first pick in the draft. We initially had the easiest of cupcake questions for you. We have worked to make it just a little more difficult. Your first career sack came against the Bengals. You sacked Ken Anderson. He would exit the game. Boomer Esiason would come in. Who caught the Boomer Esiason touchdown pass to make it a 1-point game in the fourth quarter? Who caught that touchdown pass?
So I'll just say this, Mike, because I have no idea. So I'll just say it this way: we can go through the motion of this every Monday and have some fun at my expense of not knowing the answer and just give you the first pick, because I am horrific. Mike, I don't remember things about my own career, let alone what went on the field with somebody else. So we can have fun with this. We can laugh at me, which I do every day anyway, and then you can always have the first pick, because that's what's going to happen.
Do you remember Anthony Munoz catching the touchdown pass in that game? Does that refresh your recollection?
The only thing I remember about Anthony Munoz, who is a good friend of mine to this day, is I could never beat him when I went against him. That's all I remember about him. Play after play, going back to the huddle saying, okay, I'm going to try and do it this play and try and do it this play. And him just silently, because he never said a word on the field, just continued to beat me.
All right, well, you can ask me the trivia questions on Mondays then, because I will gladly sit here blank stare trying to remember, because there is a quality when it's live, your brain just doesn't want to engage. Yeah, you can do trivia all day long without a camera on. When the camera's on, it changes the dynamic. All right, I'll start with Kyler Murray, the ultimate statement from yesterday, the 5 touchdowns he accounted for, 4 through the air, 1 on the ground. The highlights are just incredible, and they speak to what he could be all year long. He was on track to at least kind of be in the MVP conversation. Your team's got to be pretty good, too, to be an MVP candidate. Last year, they were moving in that direction. The high watermark was the game against Buffalo. It tailed off after that because he was injured. He stays healthy. They stay ahead of what defenses are trying to do to them once they really see the film, although film doesn't matter if you can't touch the guy. They couldn't touch him yesterday. You can study film all you want, Mike. If you can't get within 5 yards of the guy and he's going to do his thing, it's going to be hard to beat him.
So I know I'm going to comment on this and make my pick, but I'll just put it in. I hope I'm allowed to do the same pick, because that's what I'm doing. Because to me, he is my number 1 pick as well. And just for the things you said, but I'll go back to what I said earlier. Seeing him throw the ball well is obviously key, because it was a middle of the pack to lower with their passing game last year. That needed to improve. They were top 10 in rushing. They want to be there again, but a lot of that was because of Kyler Murray running the ball. The stat to me in the box score that I'll say, and people will go, why do you care? 5 rushes, 20 yards. It wasn't his legs that carried this team, which has done in the past. It was his arm. It was his escapability, the ability to what happens when you get out of the pocket. Sometimes it can be a big play, and sometimes it can be a big play against you. That's why you can't live on that. You can't live on him escaping the pocket. You still have to live on the continuity of him throwing from the pocket and doing that well, because at the end, that's one of the things you have to be proficient at to be one of the top quarterbacks. Then everything else is icing. And with him, it's a lot of great icing of the way he can escape, the way he can hurt you running the ball or throwing from behind the line of scrimmage. So he's my number 1 pick. And the stat, again, is 5 rushes for 20 yards. He was not a big factor in the running game. He was a bigger factor in the passing game, which is exactly what the Cardinals need for more consistency on the offensive side of the board.
Since you are the new guy, we will allow you on this one occasion to double up. But it is a draft. So once one is gone, he's gone for good. And I'm not going to complain, because I thought you would have taken somebody from the Saints. I'll take somebody from the Saints. Actually, I'll violate the spirit of the draft, and I give Sims a hard time every time he does it. I'm taking the entire Saints organization, because Sean Payton said it himself. It was the biggest statement anyone made on Sunday of Week 1, and it was neutral site, out of the Superdome. We would have been impressed by 38-3 in the Superdome. To do it in Jacksonville after everything they've been through, as you discussed earlier in the show, what the Saints did to the defending 1 seed in the NFC, a team that was 13-3 each of the last 2 years, to splatter them both sides of the ball, push them around, make them look like a JV team. That was impressive, and it's a reminder, just because they've changed from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston, the Saints are fundamentally going to continue to be a very, very good team in the NFC.
Oh, I think that's a great pick because I look at Jameis Winston getting his second chance here. And has he been humbled a little bit in given his former situation and working with Sean Payton to cut down on the turnover? So what a great start, certainly offensively for him and defensively for that team as well. So that's a good pick. My second pick is going to be, as we look at Jameis's numbers, which again weren't fantastic. His first 4 touchdowns were on 93 yards passing. And then he got another touchdown on a long play, so it made it look certainly a little bit better with the passing yards. My second pick is going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of people counting them out, and they're playing the Buffalo Bills. Many thought Buffalo was going to be the second team like last year to the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're, Pittsburgh, in this game, what is Ben Roethlisberger going to do? You heard Mike Tomlin in his soundbite, you lose one of your linebackers before the game even starts in warmups. And it wasn't really the offensive side of the ball. Under 100 yards rushing, Ben has under 200 yards passing. It was this Pittsburgh defense, which, let's be honest, when you say Pittsburgh Steelers through the decades, you think of defense a whole lot because of the number of great players they've had on that side of the ball. And that defense stood up here again to stop a very potent Buffalo Bill offense, which many thought was going to run up a score on Pittsburgh a little bit here. So I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe had a lot of the naysayers put a sock in it just for now to say, you know what, we're not done just yet.
I will go, and you're absolutely right. That was on my list. The Steelers were awesome, and they may not start 11-0 like last year, but they're going to be a contender in the AFC. We need to take them very seriously. We also need to take these Seattle Seahawks very seriously. Russell Wilson, 4 touchdowns yesterday in a new offense with Shane Waldron getting things rolling. And last year they got things rolling, but defense has caught up with them. That's going to be the challenge this year. We're going to see the Seahawks do great things as long as they have Russell Wilson. The question is, can they stay a step ahead of what the defenses see on film, what they do to counter? Can they be unpredictable? I talked to Wilson about that after the game yesterday, and he understands and he agrees that unpredictability is going to be a key component for that offense to be as good as it can be wire to wire. He had that beautiful 69-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett. He throws the best deep ball, Mike, I think, in the NFL. And I asked him what he feels like, what goes through his body when he throws that ball, and he said he loves how everything goes quiet and everything is peaceful and it's silent while the ball's in the air, and he just watches for a Tyler Lockett, who he said is like a center fielder in baseball, to run under it and go get it. It's an awesome moment when it happens, and he uncorks the ball. There's a touchdown pass he threw earlier to Tyler Lockett. He had one to DK Metcalf as well. Gerald Everett got in on the act for the Seahawks. 4 in all for Russell Wilson to go to Indianapolis and start the year against a very good team in a hostile environment, and there's that deep ball down the field to Tyler Lockett for the touchdown. To win there, a huge way to start the season for the Seahawks, Mike.
And what you said is true. He throws the best deep ball. Watch deep balls get thrown. He puts more air under his than anybody else, and that gives his receiver a chance to catch the ball. He did get sacked 3 times. He's still getting hit, and he'll get hit too much, but he's used to that. But that's a great pick. My last pick is going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Not many times they're picked high in the well, they do pick high in the draft. I shouldn't say that, but not for a good reason. Here is a good reason. Not the win was great, but the fact that they had the lead and did what the Bengals do in the past, gave up the lead all the way to go to overtime, where, again, every fan and maybe even some players thought, oh, man, here we go again. We're going to blow it after we had a lead on this team. Yet it took them the entire period of overtime to dig out that win. So from a physical standpoint, the win is obviously the most important thing. But to come out from under that, from the moral side of, this is a game we normally blow it. And we've blown it in the past. We almost blew it here in regulation to go overtime, and then we were able to pull it out. Big kudos to a team that's been trying for a whole lot of years to get themselves going.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow's healthy and able to go, that team can be very, very good. One quick honorable mention on the way out the door, because we got to take a break. Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos. Awesome yesterday against the Giants. Well, I had to mention him because I don't want my email box to fill up with all the people saying, why didn't you mention what Teddy Bridgewater did for the Broncos? He was great, and they may have found somebody who can help that team turn around what has been a recent run of not very good football.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.